and welcome to the show. I'm Jo Stanley alongside Das, Jack, Dr. Nick, and I have to say none of us really act our age.
It's true.
Whatever that means. But, you know, I'm 51 and I love getting older. I've never felt stronger and healthier.
You're on fire too, Jo. And they say with age comes wisdom, and I feel that way too. There's a bit of comfort in knowing you got your life a bit more together, Jack, as you age.
It's true. I'd like to think that I'm the youngest here. I don't want to offend anyone.
I think you just did.
Well, there's a different challenge for every stage of life, isn't there? And I think for me, as I've gotten older, it's just learning not to sweat the small stuff.
Well, Jack, I certainly get a few more aches and creaks when I get out of bed in the morning these days. But focusing on self-care as we age becomes increasingly important. Things like eating well, sleeping more, and keeping the brain healthy by challenging it to learn and try new things. I can't stress that last one enough.
Well, there is no end to the ways that we can keep our mind and body fit and in shape to last the distance. Starting today with trainer Vicky Little, who has a lesson in resistance.
Plus, Hines checks out one of the wellness trends of 2024, Jo, the sauna. Got to say, I love it. I love my sauna. We buy one now.
Poor old Hinesy, what a tough gig. Oh, I've got to have another sauna. And author Dr. Joanna Nell knows all about the challenges of retirement, and she'll be talking to us in a moment about getting older.
And we'll also take a look at the Aussie revolution in virtual healthcare.
So, Dr. Nick, we do hear so much about the importance of strength and weight training, particularly as we get older. But why is that?
Yeah, because after the age of 30, we all start to lose muscle mass, and that decline really accelerates over the age of 60. So strength training is not good just for basic movements like walking, getting out of a chair, but it's actually great for all aspects of mental and physical health. So it's a real use it or lose it thing.
And, Nick, for those that have rarely been to a gym or think they're too old to start, think again. Check out these oldies that are proving it's never too late to get strong with age. Check it out.
I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in end of 2018. It was diagnosed as aggressive and had already metastasised. The oncologist at the time said, well, I mean, she was quite direct, said, oh, well, usually you'll get 5 years more life expectancy, but we can't guarantee anything beyond that. My response to the oncologist was philosophical. Oh, well, OK, I've lived a good life, we'll see how we go.
At the age of 75, Ian White set out to give his body the best fighting chance against cancer and the muscle-wasting effects of hormone therapy.
I started looking online at various advice. Everybody was advising that if you're on this particular therapy, you need to do resistance training.
As fate would have it, just a short drive from Ian's home, in the Victorian town of Castlemaine, there's a studio practically tailor-made for his needs. Real Strength is a powerlifting gym with a unique focus on senior members.
Keep that chest up. In the past, I exercised for, the older generation and seniors. It's always been very gentle stuff, gentle movements. You're not going to get the same physical benefits. Like the body needs to be loaded, the bones need to be loaded, the muscles need to be loaded for them to actually respond. Yeah, good feel. They say after 35 is when you'll start sort of incurring muscle loss if you don't do something about it. So you really need that resistance type work to stop that or even reverse it and start building some muscle and strong bones again. Cool, one more, nice and tight, tighter on this one.
Gym owner Daniel has been participating in powerlifting competitions since he was a teenager. But his first senior student was none other than his mum, Therese.
One more. My very first session in the gym, I really enjoyed it and then hated it because I was so sore for days. Couldn't stand up or walk downstairs very well. My husband said to me, what are you doing this to yourself for? And then I kept coming back and it got better. So then I realised that I was strong and could build this muscle. Okay, yep, perfect, push up. And then I thought, well, you know, I can pass this on to other people, like just let them realise that they can do anything they really want to do, just got to have the right mindset.
According to the latest National Health Survey, only 1 in 3 Australians over the age of 65 are getting enough physical activity. But Daniel and Therese insist it's never too late to make a change.
You can modify all the movements in a way to make, you know, the majority of people to be able to start. You know, we've got different like specialty bars we can use if they've got bad shoulders, and until they build up the strength and mobility to, you know, get a bar on their back.
Then they get stronger and they come back with stories. Oh, I mowed my lawn today and I can do this now, and I can I can reach into my top cupboard now. I couldn't get my arms up to do that before. Getting on and off the toilet, in and out of chairs, you know, sofas and that are low. I have so many stories.
If you just sit around, you just get more and more glug. If you exercise, your body wakes up. That's the feeling of it after I finish, especially the deadlifts. After I've finished that, my body's awake. My son was pretty surprised. He was helping me step up and he had hold of me here, and of course the muscle flexed. And he said, "Oh, Mum, do that again."
While there's no question that squats and deadlifts make the body stronger, the mental benefits are often just as powerful. Perhaps nobody knows this better than Susan Westcott.
Before I joined Real Strength, I pretty much wasn't existing. I'd closed down, I'd lost my son, and I was finding it very difficult to even get out of bed. Then I moved to Castlemaine, and a couple of friends had told me about Real Strength, and I thought I must put an effort. Once I walked through that door, I became a different person. I sort of became myself maybe, only I was lifting weights.
Step back, get your feet right.
And it just got easier and better, and feeling your
good work.
Body becoming strong. It's so good for your mentality. And I think my son, he used to love doing his weights, and I have a bit of a laugh sometimes. I think, you know, when I'm doing, I think Ben would be pretty happy with this. Maybe he's guided me here.
This is what we came for.
One more.
This is what
and stand up and walk it forward. Well done.
It has been 5 years since the initial diagnosis, and my, PSA has been steadily going down and now maintains at a, 0 point something level, which is pretty good. I'm pleased with that. However long it lasts, who can say? I see myself going to this gym for as long as I am alive.
This is what we live for.
Well, how inspiring are that group of oldies getting stronger with age?
And it's not just about building physical fitness, of course, it's self-esteem and social connections too.
Well, I love how the workout spaces don't have any mirrors. I wish more gyms would do that. I hate seeing myself in the mirror when I'm working out.
I agree. It's never pretty. But, of course, another big reason that people are living longer is all the amazing medical advances happening, many of them right here in Australia, Jack.
That's right. Victorian researchers have had a breakthrough in the treatment of one of the deadliest forms of liver cancer. They've successfully treated inflammation associated with fatty liver disease to block it from progressing to liver cancer. The trials are done and dusted, and the drugs are already approved for human use.
Well, Jack, hats off to our doctors and medical minds, including our own Dr. Nick Carr. Let's check in with Nick now, who's got the information on a head-spinning condition known as vertigo.
What's the difference between dizziness and true vertigo? Well, Kylie certainly got it right, because vertigo is a rotatory sensation, or spinning around. And the word comes from the Latin verb vertere, meaning to turn, so they certainly got that right. And because it can be accompanied by not just nausea, but also vomiting, Kylie was also right when she said, Move out of my way. It's a really scary, unpleasant symptom, and because it comes on suddenly, people often think there's something serious going on. Well, the good news is that although the symptom is nasty, the underlying cause usually isn't. Our balance mechanisms are in the inner ear, where microscopic hairs detect the movements of our head and body. One of the commonest causes of vertigo is when a tiny crystalline particle breaks loose, brushes against those hairs and causes vertigo. And because it only happens when you move your head, it often comes on when you turn over in bed at night time. It's called benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, or BPPV for short. And the important word here is benign, as in not serious. It can come and go over a few weeks, but in the end gets better, and some simple exercises can help. Now, the other commonest cause of vertigo is a thing called vestibular neuronitis, which comes on after a virus infection. Again, horrible symptom, but not dangerous. But, and here's the serious doctor bit, occasionally new onset vertigo is a sign of an important underlying neurological problem like a stroke. So if it happens to you for the first time, always get it checked out. Now, we've all been on that roundabout as a kid that left us not just dizzy, but feeling sick to the stomach. So how do dancers who have to spin not feel the same way? Well, they use a technique called spotting, where they fix their gaze on a particular spot and then turn their heads really quickly to focus again on that same spot. But skaters who spin too quickly to do that use a different technique called optokinetic nystagmus. No idea what that means? Me neither. But the key, as with everything they do, is practice. Now, heaps of famous people have suffered from vertigo. Basketballer LeBron James, Vincent van Gogh, Janet Jackson, and even cricketer Justin Langer. In fact, it's so common that around 1 in 20 adults will experience it in any year. So, Kylie, you can be reassured, it's not just you spinning around.
Most of us have some kind of habit, right? I remember when I was younger, I used to bite my nails all the time. I've got fake ones now.
Well, the one I'm trying to switch is just scrolling through news articles, Jack. You probably relate to that as someone who's the news queen in our town. So I'm trying to replace that with something healthier this year.
Well, it turns out about 15% of us have some kind of bodily focused repetitive behaviour, be it biting our nails, picking at our skin, or even pulling our hair. And researchers say it can be involuntary and even linked to our emotions.
And Jack, the good news is you can replace one of those habits that maybe is negative with a better one, a bit like you're biting the nails. They talk about maybe rubbing your hands in a circular motion, something that takes that pathway into a healthier, happier place.
Or even jiggling your feet around and round and round, or using one of those fidget spinners that were really popular a few years ago.
Well, Jack, I reckon a great way to kick back and relax is either with a massage or a sauna. So I know you're a fan
Love
of.
a sauna.
Luke Hines is going to check out one of the wellness trends of 2024, the sauna, after a break.
So, Das, I think the world can be separated into two types of people. Those that love a hot, steamy sauna or spa, and those who do not. And I'm very much a do not person. Whereas I know that you love a sauna.
Not a fan of the sauna, Joe.
No.
There's a lot of things that you rule out right in my
true.
wheelhouse. There's a lot of research about the benefits of the sauna. Been lucky enough to put one in at home about 3 years ago. Gets a run all the time. What's your problem with the sauna?
I don't like being hot and sweaty.
That's a
You
good
know
reason
what?
not to go in there.
There are so many things I don't like, you know that. But actually, you're right that actually the infrared sauna is popping up more and more in gyms, and the at-home version is so much more affordable. So Luke Hines went on his steamiest mission yet to find out what's so hot about saunas.
So, I'm a reasonably fit guy. No real injuries or physical complaints. But when I have tweaked a muscle or simply felt body sore from a workout, a sauna has really loosened me up and relaxed my mind and body. But these days, a simple steam isn't the only option. So what's the difference between saunas, and is one any better than the others?
Most people know the traditional or Finnish style of sauna. Wood-lined room, a couple of bench seats and a pile of hot rocks you pour water over to crank up the heat. So what are the benefits of this type of sauna?
We talk about the benefits being more around the communal, so being able to spend time with other people in a shared space, but it also, from a physiological sense, gets your heart rate up, gets you sweating without doing, exercise. We have ours sitting at 85 degrees. Of course, it goes up and down as people come in and out, but it is a small space and a big heater, so it heats up again pretty quick.
I've only been in here a couple of minutes, but I can already tell why traditional sauna has been popular for so many thousands of years. There is nothing quite like the heat from these hot stones to give you a really good sweat.
I guess you can use it in lots of different ways, but the way that we like to tell our guests is to start with a shower so that they're nice and clean, and then they go into the sauna and then sit in there for as long as they can handle. We don't like to say how long because everyone's different. But from a study perspective, I think 18 minutes is the golden number. That you come out, you have a cold shower, and then if you're up for it, you jump into the cold plunge, which is 8 degrees here, and then you go in, rinse and repeat.
Katie, I've just been in a traditional sauna. How does a steam room differ?
Good question. So a steam room is more of a wetter style heat. I mean, both are very sensory experiences, but I think this steam room, it's really hard to escape. That humidity really does smack you in the face when you walk in.
How hot does it get in here?
So we set the steam room to 45 degrees, which is less than the sauna, but also with that humidity point can often feel a little bit hotter as well.
This type of steam room or hamam is a Turkish-style steam bath. The main difference is you have access to cold water with basins and showers in the room if it all gets just way too hot.
Hammams and steam rooms can often be very social spaces as well. It's a really good talking point, that heat. And yeah, people often just sort of lie down in here. They might take a seat, they might stand as well. When they start to get a little bit too hot, they might fill up a pail or take a quick shower as well whilst they're in here. Just means they can stay in here that little bit longer as well. And then once they're done and ready to leave, they might just exit and go into the cold plunge, cool down.
The stone in the middle, you called it the
belly stone.
How long should one person lay on the belly stone before rotating and giving someone else a go?
I think that just comes down to those bathing etiquette rules, If you're lucky enough to be in this room on your own, then take your time, however long you'd like. If there's a couple of people in here, then, you might spend a couple of minutes before hopping off and giving someone else the opportunity.
That was so incredibly relaxing. I could have a nap right now, but I've got one more sauna to check out. It's a tough gig.
An infrared sauna has multiple heat sources, and what it does, it emits a radiating safe light into the body that elevates the core body temperature. And from that, it elicits that fantastic heat stressor after that strengthens our immune system and brings down inflammation. And it brings out that beautiful sweat that we're looking for.
There'd be a lot of people not familiar with this type of sauna who hear the term infrared and might think that it is some type of light or radiation or laser. Is it scary or dangerous?
It's light, but it's safe light, right? It's the beautiful, safe, ambient light that comes from the sun. It is completely safe. It's free of UV, free of all the nasty, radiating lights that people might be familiar with. It's a naturally occurring mechanism in nature, creating a beautiful sweat.
How hot is the recommended temperature for an infrared sauna?
Anywhere between 45 and 60 degrees for 30 to 45 minutes is really going to elicit the response you're after.
I think what's quite striking about an infrared sauna is the heat really is quite unique in that you feel it from the core all the way to the outside. Also, compared to other saunas, it's really meditative because you've got the lights, you've got the sound, and you're in this enclosed space pretty much on your own, so I'm feeling very relaxed. with other types of saunas, sometimes it's a case of being in there and then cooling down in a shower or with an ice bath. You stay there the whole time or break it up?
Well, one of the beautiful things about infrared sauna, although it's really hot in there, because the ambient air is a little bit softer, you can stay in there for longer. There's no reason to not do it every day. You can exercise every day. An infrared sauna, I mean, that's what it's doing. It's mimicking a mild cardiovascular workout for the body, which is why the health benefits are so vast. So if you can exercise every day, which we absolutely promote, there's no reason why you couldn't infrared sauna every day.
So infrared is the best?
Infrared is the best.
Well, that was a fantastic experience. There were things I loved about all three of them, but my pick of the bunch has definitely got to be the steam room. The fact that it's really moist in there felt hydrating for both my lungs and my skin. If you're a little bit curious, why don't you give them a go and find out which one's right for you?
Well, today's focus, Nick, is something you're very passionate about, and that is ageing in a really healthy way.
Yeah, brain and body health, definitely my speciality.
Yes.
And the thing is, as we age, like the body, the brain tends to change. And one of the things many of us fear most is dementia. But the good thing is there are heaps of things that we can do to help keep the mind sharp.
And Nick, there's so many apps now and even wearable technology that tracks the amount of steps we take each day and how our physical health is going. And I'm intrigued by a new app that can actually show our biological age and the rate at which we're ageing. And the great story is it was developed right here.
Yeah, it's called Brain Track, and it was developed by Dementia Australia and Deakin University. And it uses these sort of travel-themed games to monitor our cognitive changes.
Yeah, award-winning app, as you said, Nick, and it tracks the early signs that lead towards the chance to diagnose dementia early, and it's free.
Yeah. Actually, I've got it on my phone. So I've tried it. It's really good because the number one thing we can do to keep our brains healthy is to keep learning and trying new things, because it stops what I call it kind of weeds growing over the neural pathways, and it allows the brain to keep developing new connections, which is what we really need.
British-born Australian author and GP Joanna Nell wrote the book about trying new things, Nick, after retirement. And she's very passionate about us focusing not so much on the numbers, but more on living a long, healthy life.
Joanna, we hear the term positive ageing, and I love that you're an advocate for it. But what does it mean to you?
Because we're living much longer than ever before, it's only natural that once we reach older age, we're going to have one or two, chronic illnesses. So I think a much better way of looking at it is positive ageing. And that means more that people are living aligned with their values so that they can live a much more meaningful life to them rather than focusing purely on health.
So, Joanna, do you feel like 70 is the new 50?
I try to not put numbers on it, but it certainly feels that we are ageing, without a focus on numbers. I think that it's more about, how we live each year rather than how many years we accumulate. And certainly now with the baby boomers reaching older age and retirement age and Gen X, I think we're going to see a paradigm shift in how we view our own old age, and hopefully that reflects on society and how we view age. We still are a very youth-obsessed society, and I think that this is at the core of ageism in a way. We don't want to think of ourselves as ageing. We don't want to see old age because it reminds us in a way that, of our own mortality. And I think that, there is a whole industry dedicated to anti-aging. If you think about the creams that fight the 7 signs of aging, age is something we're supposed to fight against. And even younger people now having Botox in their 20s to prevent the signs of aging. And this anti-aging has funded a whole industry in the US. The industry to fight aging is valued at around $150 billion. So there's a lot of money in fighting aging.
Do you feel in Australia that we have an ageist attitude?
Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think we see ourselves as a very, liberal and inclusive society. But I think ageism is still a very unconscious bias. And in fact, it's the most illogical bias because we are biased against our future selves. Ageing is a normal process. And I think it's something to be embraced. If we reach old age, that's something to be celebrated because the alternative is dying young, so that none of us want to do that. So I think it's about viewing our own ageing and planning for our own ageing and deciding how we want to age.
Dr. Joanna Nell there, living her best life, which is what we're all aiming for. And being physically able to do the things we want to do plays a big part in that. Just exercising 2.5 hours a week can reduce the risk of falls in older women, and even walking can make a big difference. So get the trainers on and hit the walking track. It'll change your life. We're back after this.
Nutrition is absolutely key to getting absolutely any results. So for me personally, I'm a massive advocate of the ketogenic diet, which I've got an amazing result and my clients do as well. For people that don't understand what that is, it's high volumes of protein, high volumes of fat, and also low carbohydrates. We kind of think of nutrition as plain and boring when it doesn't need to be like that. That's where Melros Ignite range has really stepped it up. We've got the chocolate bars, the cookies, we've got the meal replacement, we've got the protein powder, the keto balls as well. It does cater towards any ketogenic diet. When you look at the macronutrients through them as well, they're so good in calories. The protein is sourced from pea protein, which is awesome as well. The Melros Ignite range, it's catered for parents looking for healthier snacks for their kids. It's also catered towards gym goers that are wanting to replenish in terms of that high protein volume. And it's so easy to pack. We think snacking is being guilty, and Melros Ignite have obviously smashed that and made snacking not guilty at all and replenishing.
Strength training works wonders on our bodies. It improves mobility, stability, fitness, helps prevent injury, and increases bone density. But if throwing dumbbells around a smelly gym doesn't sound like your idea of fun, there is another way. Put the weights down and pick up a resistance band. You can do everything with a band that you can do with a weight. Both build strength, but resistance bands activate the stabilizer muscles, which support the larger muscle groups and joints. Think of them as body scaffolding. And that's because the band adds tension during the exercise, making it more difficult to do the movements. So it engages more muscles, which helps build strength. The beauty of a resistance band is its versatility. Loop it over a bar or something similar for bicep curls or rows, or stand on it if you want to work those muscles a little bit harder. The key is to keep the body still, so the focus is on what's not moving as well as doing the exercise. Like weights, bands come in different strengths. They all have a different resistance for an easy or not so easy workout. No matter what you choose, they're safe and efficient and designed for all fitness levels, for beginners to pros. In fact, gentle band work is perfect for age-related muscle loss to improve flexibility and mobility. And as we age, it's that core strength that's so vital in maintaining balance and staying upright. There's no rules. Just start with a few reps and build up. Or you can step it up with more complex full body actions for a mixture of cardio and strength training. A bent over row builds back and core muscles. A great one if you spend a long time leaning over a keyboard and have an achy back or neck. And if your hamstrings are giving you grief, a few minutes every day with a resistance band and some gentle stretching will make all the difference. Your hammies will thank you for it. So if weights aren't for you, try a more gentle approach. Less force on your joints and less chance of injury. A little resistance really does go a long way.
With a background in health science, it shouldn't come as a shock that I love investigating health and beauty nutrients, like omega-3 fatty acids. Found mostly in oily fishes, these healthy fats help support brain, skin, and the heart. But if eating all this fish seems a little fishy, omega-3s are available in fish oil supplements. Nature's own concentrated fish oil is a high-strength odourless supplement, which is available in a smaller capsule, which is great for people like me who dread taking regular-sized capsules. Taking one smaller capsule per day versus up to 5 regular capsules for the same benefits equals a better price per dose, so it's a win for the bank account too. Despite the smaller size, there are 4 different health benefits at play, supporting general well-being, mental function, and heart health. It also supports eye health, which is essential for a makeup artist like me who is always trying to perfect that eyeliner. It's a once daily dosage, quality tested and sourced from fresh ocean caught fish. Many people assume that health and beauty are separate goals, but in fact, they go hand in hand. And when we feel our best, it really translates to looking our best.
Recent years have brought about a revolution in the way we live, with basically everything available online, including potentially life-saving healthcare. Victoria has spearheaded a virtual emergency department, the very first of its kind in Australia, which means people now have access to potentially life-saving treatment in the home.
Hi, May.
Hello.
My name is Dr. Lauren. I'll be looking after you today. During the time that COVID was knocking on our shores, we were thinking about different models of care and ways that we could provide care to our community without them necessarily having to come into an emergency department. Can you tell me what the problem is today, May?
I've just been getting a lot of headache recently, and I've been getting a lot of stomach cramp as well.
As a very busy hospital, we have quite a small front of house waiting room, and the ideas of social distancing were just, it was never going to be achievable. And so we're trying to provide a way of advising patients which ones needed to come into hospital and which ones could be treated and managed in the community.
And when was the last time you had a checkup by your local doctor?
And for those who did need to come into hospital, it opened up a whole world of, well, can we streamline their care so that they don't necessarily have to come through an emergency department? We might be able to connect them directly into an outpatient appointment, for example, maybe admit them to the ward. So we started thinking of all these pathways in and out of the virtual world. And basically, from this COVID disaster, the whole idea has just grown.
That was 2 years ago. Now, in an Aussie first, Melbourne's Northern Health is running a 24-hour online video-based health service that supports more than 450 patients a day across the state.
So when a patient phones in from the community, they will be linked into one of our triage nurses, and the nurse will take them through a triage process to determine what is the best next level of care for them. Now, for some patients, that might be booking them into a priority care centre or they're back into their GP and giving them some self-help advice to bridge them. Some patients do need to come into the emergency department, and if it's critical, we'll help assist with organising an ambulance. But about 80% of patients will be directed to our doctor's waiting room, which is predominantly a GP and emergency physician waiting room where they'll see one of our highly skilled doctors.
Like all good ideas, this concept started off small. One doctor, one nurse, one admin person. Now there are over 250 specialist physicians and support staff who treat a myriad of conditions every day.
And this is a mixture of general practitioners, paediatric specialists, emergency physicians. We have nurse practitioners with subspecialty interests in emergency and aged care, palliative care. So we've really had to look at what was coming into the model and then hire the staff that were best suited to manage those problems. And do you ever get any weakness in your body down one side or your face, for example?
It means the right healthcare can now be accessed from your living room, avoiding hospital overcrowding, waiting times and stressful car travel. And the big plus is that more ambulance crews are on the road rather than being backed up at EDs.
We don't want to be managing patients with crushing chest pain or, stroke symptoms. That's definitely Ambulance Victoria's business. We're really there for patients who are feeling a bit sick and they're thinking, do I go and sit in an ED for the next couple of hours, or could this potentially be managed in the community? If at the end of the day we don't feel like we've gathered enough visual information to make a safe assessment, then our default will always be to send the patient into the emergency department or to see their GP if needed.
Since it began, over 100,000 patients have accessed the virtual emergency department. Yet another life-changing innovation that demonstrates the power of modern technology and its place in community care.
Well, that is a fantastic advancement in healthcare being led by Victoria, Jo. And the good news is a lot of the other states have come on board.
Yeah, that's right. Virtual EDs are available in SA, where it's called SAVES, also as a part of the WAVED program in WA. And there are similar programs in New South Wales and Queensland.
Not many silver linings to come out of the lockdowns and pandemic for me, Jo, but perhaps the biggest one is the advancement in telehealth and online care has been a real positive.
Yeah. Coming up, Zoe serves up a Mediterranean-inspired burger. I can't even say it. Mediterranean-inspired burger that we can enjoy guilt-free. That's after this.
Spring and summer is when hay fever can become top of mind for so many adults. But it's not only adults who suffer. 25% of children aged 6 to 14 experience hay fever, and it's more likely a child will experience hay fever if a parent does. That said, it can be difficult for a parent to identify whether their child is experiencing hay fever versus the common cold. This means that hay fever may go untreated, causing a child to withdraw from essential things like school, socialising, and even play. Asking some simple questions may help with the diagnosis. Are there multiple symptoms occurring at the same time, like nasal congestion, itchy eyes, and sneezing? And are these symptoms lingering for more than a few weeks? And it's always best to consult a GP or pharmacist. Antihistamines are a familiar treatment for adults, and it's the same with kids. There are great tasting, non-drowsy liquid formulas suitable for use from 24 months that can treat symptoms of hay fever. Kids are social, inquisitive, and thirsty for knowledge, and keeping their hay fever symptoms under control at an early age will give them the best chance to keep exploring as they grow up.
Well, Jo, here's a quirky piece of innovation for you. Overseas chemists have taken a mind-blowing leap forward in the world of molecular science. They have tied the tiniest and tightest knot in history.
You do wonder why, Das, but it's invisible to the naked eye. It's smaller than a single cell. The trefoil knot is made up of only 54 atoms, and for that, it's made a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. Maybe that's why they did it. They want to... Everyone wants to be in the Guinness World of Records, don't they?
Probably. That's a tough way to go about it.
Some days I can barely tie my own shoelaces, so it's an impressive feat.
Well, someone who never gets tied up is our own Zoe Bingley-Pullen. She's going to give us a little slice of the Mediterranean with her special lamb burger. That's next on The House of Wellness.
What I love about Mediterranean cooking is the taste. And my lamb burgers with avocado tzatziki is proof that healthy cooking can be fulfilling and delicious. Tzatziki is the defining ingredient of this dish. Greek yogurt is the traditional choice, but if you want more tang, swap for sour cream. The flavours are fresh and zesty, which will go so well with the heaviness of the lamb. The Mediterranean diet is not so much a diet, but a lifestyle. It blends in healthy eating with the traditional flavours of the region. My own twist, mash in some avocado for extra healthy fats. Tzatziki done, now the burger patties. 500 grams of lamb shot up should make enough for about 4 patties. You may want to stick with just a hint of salt and pepper, but I'm adding fresh rosemary, garlic and parsley to the mix. Give them about 6 minutes each side for medium rare. Or pop them on the barbecue for a bit of char grill. I'm swapping the traditional burger bun for a lettuce leaf. A refreshing bowl that gives that extra crunch. With the sharpness of the tzatziki and the tenderness of the lamb. This is a dish yayas everywhere will be proud of. So good.
It's a big topic, Das, don't you think? Ageing well. There's, staying mentally and physically active and socially connected. There's a lot to do, but one of the great things and ways to do that is owning a dog. My dog, Daisy, gets us out and about all the time.
And I love talking about Dennis, the 9-year-old blue staffy who runs our whole house. I've just been away for 3 or 4 days, and I'm pretty sure Beck, my wife, would happily substitute me out of the bed and Dennis in. If I was away any more longer, I'd be out.
Well, it turns out you're both spot on, because older people with dogs do exercise more, and pet ownership has been shown to reduce stress and blood pressure and to ease depression and loneliness.
Well, there's nothing better than being greeted at the front door by a loving family member that's wagging his or her tail. And I guess if they're wagging their tails, Dr. Nick, it means the dog is happy.
Well, there could be more to it than that, Jack, because dogs are unique in that they use their tails to convey information. Get this, there's some new research out of the UK that suggests that a wag to the right might mean the dog's curious, a wag to the left might be associated with stress.
Their tails just going ballistic, aren't they?
Just side to side.
Well, we recently had someone on the show who could speak cat, and now we can decode our dog's thoughts by knowing how to speak tail. How good is that?
Well, on that note, that's all we've got time for today on the House of Wellness. Thanks to Dr. Nick, to Jack and to Joe. Enjoyed talking about the ageing process today on the House of Wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you check out House of Wellness Radio every Sunday with Gerald Quigley and Luke Hines.
And pick up the latest House of Wellness lift out with a sustainability theme.
Thanks to our friends at Chemist Warehouse. See you next time on the House of Wellness.